my friend and colleague, Taylor. And for those of
Hi.
you, hey. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time here on the live, we're from an organization called YouthSpeak. And what we do at YouthSpeak is we go into schools all around the GTA now through online presentations. And we have youth share their stories of lived experience surrounding things like mental health and wellness, LGBTQ issues, bullying prevention, self-care, anti-racism, and much, much more. And today we've come every Tuesday to have an open and live discussion just about low mood and the weather, right? And how it's affecting us, especially everything that's going on right now. I feel like that's such an important topic to talk about. So we're going to be sharing a little bit about our stories and some of the things that we're doing to help us get through some of these times and help us cope. And of course, we want it to be an interactive conversation. So feel free if you have any questions, any comments, anything that you guys want to throw out on the table, please feel free to just throw it out there, pop it into the comment section, and we'll get right to it. Okay, so I guess we can start by I'm going to share a little bit about my story. So I haven't I've done a few lives before, but I haven't been able to get into my story in a lot of them. So this is good. So you know, my story, just like any other story, starts when we're really, really young. And when I was young, I grew up in a priority neighborhood. For those of you who are not familiar with what a priority neighborhood is, it's a neighborhood where a lot of the families are of low income. So unfortunately, because of that, sometimes there's a lot of crime and violence. And now, despite those factors, I always felt like I had a pretty upbringing. You know, I was raised by my single mom, me and my 4 siblings. And because of that, there was always lots happening in my house, you know, sometimes lots of screaming, lots of yelling, sometimes just a lot of chaos, sometimes a lot of fun too. So, but you know, I learned at a very young age how to just bottle up all my feelings because my mom was always working really, really hard just to be able to provide for us. I didn't always feel like I could go to her or really anyone with those feelings that I felt. So I ended up, again, just bottling all those things up. Thank goodness that now I've learned better coping skills and better things to, like, when I'm having a difficult moment, I know how to better deal with those things now. And it's only because of those things that I went through. But, you know, I dealt with lots of anger. That was a lot of one of the huge things. I dealt with lots of anger when I was much younger, and lots of rage, and really not knowing how to disperse that rage, really not knowing how to disperse that energy. And unfortunately, having a low self-esteem that ultimately led me into getting into a lot of toxic relationships, unfortunately, where some of those relationships got physical. But, you know, in those moments, I remember very clearly that there was this one specific moment where a relationship of mine got physical. And it was in that very moment that I drew strength. And I said, you know what, enough is enough. And I decided to actually talk to my teacher about what was going on with me. And once I talked to her about what was going on, she shared with me that, you know, Lolita, in order for you to love someone else, you have to first find that love within yourself. And when she said that to me, I was like a light bulb just went off in my mind. And that was the first time I'd ever heard of that term, self-love. So I had no idea what it looked like, but it was after that I decided to try to find out, and what does it look like? How am I going to show the self-love to myself? So I started with positive affirmations, and that's how I really started to build myself up. I wrote on my mirror, I'm strong, I'm beautiful, I'm enough, and I'm capable of accomplishing all my dreams and goals. And I would read out that message every single morning until those words start to become really deeply instilled inside of me. And now today, all those things that happened, you know, I look back and I can see how those things really helped to build my strength and character, helped to give me a certain resiliency. But the most the greatest thing that I take away from all those things is when I found that true self-love, and coming to today where I accept myself and I love myself, and I wouldn't allow anybody to treat me in any way that I wouldn't treat myself. So that's my story all in a nutshell. So thanks everyone for joining and being a part of this. This is actually really cool. So Taylor, I guess we can go ahead. And if anyone has any questions about my story, feel free to go ahead and ask them. It's want to be an open conversation, but go ahead, Taylor. We'll let you go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your story and some of the things that you dealt with in terms of your mental health.
Yeah, your story is amazing. I love how your teacher really focused on that self-love. That is so important. And that is definitely something that I personally have struggled with as well. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate on that one, which is really great.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, I did also experience low moods, started my mental health, um, started to change in like like younger grades. So like before grade 8. And do you know the show Vampire Diaries?
I've heard of it. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of
So
it.
the vampires, they would turn their emotions off. Like they just turn off their emotions like it was a flip. And I would just be so fascinated with that idea of, oh, they can turn their emotions off. I want to be able to turn my emotions off because I was never one to really talk about how I felt. Anyways, so the fact that they would just shut them all off, like shut themselves down, I was just like, I want to do that. And I physically try to do that. And I found that that was so draining on myself as like a grade 7. Like you should not be trying to turn off your emotions at all. And that was when I started to realize, okay, this is not normal. And I was feeling really low about myself. And that, fast forward 6 years, like that was through high school, and now I'm in university. And that's when I realized, okay, the mental health issues, they're back, and they never really went away, but now they're more prominent. And I'm like, okay, you can't hide behind how you feel anymore, you can't bottle it up. And that was when I started to really try and seek help. I go to the Ryerson University, so I went to there's their therapy center, and I tried to try and talk to them about how I was feeling. That worked out for a little bit. Um, and then I decided, okay, I need a year off. I went through some really tough stuff in the first year of university, and I was like, I need a year off to focus on myself, focus on how I'm feeling, and try and come up with those good coping mechanisms that I can use to help make the rest of my university journey and my years better and make myself feel better as a person. Self-love has definitely been one that that was such a big focus for me, and the positive affirmations have worked so hard, have worked for so well. Like even just writing them down have really helped. Like I like to write them down versus saying them. I don't know if there's a change in how it is, but writing them down consistently every day for even 30 days, you feel the difference because you really start to believe it. And I was one of those people where I was like, I don't believe that stuff. And then you actually start doing it and you're like, oh, okay, I guess it
It
works. Like
works. Yeah,
even with
exactly.
meditating and yoga and working out, like I was a little overweight girl
Really?
in grade 7, and
Mhm.
like that does contribute to like low self-esteem, well, for me personally. And working out was always just like, I'm too scared to do that. And now the pandemic's going on and I love working out. Like that is one of the things that has really got me going during this entire pandemic.
Yeah, no, for sure. I totally, totally resonate with that. And you know what you talked when you said turning off your emotions. That is so funny that's my story. You know, up until a certain point, I would just turn my emotions off. I didn't even have an idea that I had emotions because I would just
Yeah.
bottle them in. So just kind of just be one way, just all the time. And then it was through sort of diving deeper into that mental and to the when things start to get really bad actually, and I start to have to confront these things, then I start to realize like bottling these things, turning your emotions off, like that's never healthy. It's good to feel these things. You want to feel these things. It's all about finding those coping mechanisms, just like you talked about, that are going to help you, like meditation. That was something for me when I was at the height of my anger issues. That was the number one thing that started to help sort of heal me, start to heal me inside and out, because I had a mentor at the time, and he always talked about how when you can control your breath, you can control your mind, and then you can control your emotions, you can control your mind and body. It's a whole connection. And of course, when I first heard this concept, okay, of course, you kind of put them in the back of your mind. You're like, I don't know if that's going to work. I'm not sure. But I'm telling you, it's always good to try different things, even if you think whether it's meditation, whether it's exercising, whether it's painting. try different things, because you never know what is going to be that thing that's going to that's really going to help you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, we're getting a few comments here. People in the comments giving you some big ups. Yes, go Tay.
I don't see any of that. Why don't I
Oh,
see it?
oh no. Okay, so don't, oh my gosh, I sometimes these things, these apps, they don't work out as well as we hope. But yeah, someone is in the comments saying you go Tay.
Oh, that's nice.
And sorry, Varahi is like, yes, me too. So she can resonate with those feelings we are talking about. And she also says, good for you, girl. Keep at it with those workouts. Yes.
Thank you. I'm currently doing a 10-minute everyday jump rope challenge, and it really just like that 10 minutes, like you don't have to do a full workout for 30 minutes. It's just 10 minutes of your time,
Yeah.
and you really feel good about yourself because you got that 10 minutes in, and you're like, okay, I can do that. I can do the rest of the things that I have to do today.
Yeah.
And like it's day 10 and my calves are starting to become steel. So
nice. And you know, summer's around the corner. So you got to get the summer body, you know, together, mind, body, and spirit, all that together, right? And it's funny you brought up a skipping rope, because again, I'm the type of person who I don't really like to work out. That's never been my thing. I like to have fun, you know. I like to do something that's more active, like playing sports. So I remember I had someone recommend me getting a skipping rope, and I've been having fun with that skipping rope, and it's actually, like you said, I can feel the burn, even if you just do it for the 15 minutes for the day. After, you feel so good. You feel good about yourself. Your body feels good. So, and these are the things that that we have to do to sort of combat those low moods, because we know that, especially with where we live here in Canada, the weather, it's cold, right? And there's something that is called seasonal depression. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, or if it's something that you've ever dealt with before. Yeah, it's actually something I didn't know that that it was like an actual term. There's an actual thing. I remember someone talking about it, you know, saying that they get, every time when winter comes around, they just start to feel low. And I remember thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? I resonate with those feelings. Sometimes the winter comes because it's like, it's such a long time. You're stuck inside. It's cold out. You're kind of not getting the sun that you need to. So you start to feel low. And then this is why it's so important to start checking in with yourself. That's another thing that I've learned along my mental health journey as well.
Yeah, I resonate with the seasonal depression as well. I never really thought, like, you know, you hear about it, but you're like, okay, that doesn't happen to me. But I would kind of notice like feeling a little bit lower, like in the winter time. Like even a couple weeks ago or a few days ago, my mom even said to me, Taylor, you seem a little low. And I was just like, oh, because I think I've been feeling pretty good lately, and that's a big step for me. Like even just acknowledging that my mental health is at a good note right now, it's nice to know, like it when you feel it and you're like, and you say it out loud, it's so different than when someone tells you, oh, like you look happy. It's like, okay, but you might actually not be, but when you feel it, it's great. But when she said like, oh, you seem a little low, I'm like, I'm like, the weather's dropping, we're expecting a snowstorm, and I'm like,
yeah. And then especially in the middle of this pandemic, I say middle, but like we don't know when it's going to end. It seems like they keep changing the dates for when things will reopen, and that's also, for me personally, been playing hugely on my mental health, because I'm a type of person, I love being social. I love going out. I love going outside, even just getting some fresh air. All those things I can do. So I've been having to find really, really creative ways of keeping and maintaining a healthy mental state. So what is the first thing you did when your mom said she noticed you feeling low, or when you noticed that you're feeling low? What's the first thing that you did?
The first thing that I usually like to do when I start to realize that I'm feeling a little low is I look at my space. And people always say like, oh, your space really reflects how you are in your mind. Like if so if I'm feeling low, not motivated, you can see it in my room. Like it gets messy. So the first thing I do is I start doing the laundry, I start cleaning. Like I really need to start with that fresh room to really get, okay, my mind is clear, my room is clean.
Yeah.
That's like the first thing I do. And you can feel like, okay, I feel good about myself. You know, my room is clean, my space is clean. And then that's usually the first thing I do, other than kind of, I'll look in the mirror and I'll be like, okay, I'll just look at myself and I'll have an actual conversation with myself and just, how are you? And like, even like asking myself how I am and really just having, acknowledging that and like looking at myself. It's like, okay, Taylor, you can't escape this. Like, you have to face how you feel.
Yeah, and it goes back to like it can be such a learned habit, how we talked about how we bottled our feelings up and sort of had those no emotions. So unlearning that behavior is even can be hard. So we can sometimes get stuck back into those moments of when we're feeling something, not trying to feel anything. But you're right, we have to feel. We have to look at the mirror, be honest with ourselves, and check in. How am I actually feeling, right? And I love that you said the first thing you did was clean up your space, and that you said that there's a connection. I feel like it's very true. There's a connection between your space and your mental space. And the first thing that I did, I felt like, you know, I was in this house for so long. I was kind of getting bored by just looking at the walls. So first thing I did was get a fresh coat of paint for my bedroom and my bathroom, and I redid my whole bedroom and my bathroom. So that gives me so much joy. Now when I walk into my bedroom, I'm like, oh, look at this beautiful space that I can just relax in. So that's a really good tip.
I resonate with that, because when they announced that the pandemic and the lockdown was going to continue into the new year, the first thing I said to myself was, I'm painting my room.
Yeah.
Like, I need the fresh space, because I can't. I need a change in my life if this is going to keep going on.
Yeah.
Fresh coat of paint, you can see it. My room is gray, and
Yeah.
I walk into my room and I'm excited. Like,
Exactly.
there's something about the new paint color that I'm like, I
Yeah.
love my room. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
this space. I don't know.
I even went as so far as to get I seen a plant that looks like a palm tree. It reminds me of a palm tree. So I had to get, because I love palm trees and I love to travel. So even just bringing that small thing into my space, every time I walk in, I'm like, oh, look at that beautiful palm tree. I feel like I'm on vacation again. So it's really lovely. Just those little tiny things that you can do around the house that can make you feel so much better, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna get back into some of these comments here. So Smith Vanessa says, I started to smoke during the pandemic and I want to start to quit for my self-love. Now that is a great point. And thank you for sharing that, actually, because I feel like right now we're going through a really tough time, and like we talked about, it can be so easy to fall back into those negative habits or habits that aren't serving us anymore. So the fact that you're even recognizing that and that you want to make that step, I think that's the first thing, and it's very commendable. And thanks for sharing.
I agree. The first step is always to acknowledge what you want to stop, and just that's the first step.
Yeah.
And I would personally recommend, this doesn't always work for everybody, but try and pick up new habits. Like, okay, notice a pattern. When are you going out to do that? And replacing that with something else, like working out, journaling. Those are like just finding little switches in your routine that can kind of replace.
Yeah.
And it may take a while too, because
Exactly.
like it may take a while, but like it's the little steps you take to get there.
And
that
being
like,
compassionate along the
you
way.
have to acknowledge your little steps.
Yeah, for sure. No, I like that. I love that you brought that up, because that's something that I dealt with before as well. So that's a tactic that I would use. I would actually write out a list of things, a whole list of healthy coping mechanisms that I could turn to in a moment's notice whenever I noticed myself wanting to indulge in a certain habit. So again, very, very good points here. Someone else, Sunshine on Pluto, says, walking my dog helps me when I feel down. Yes, you know what? That is something that even just like sometimes when we have our Zoom meetings and just seeing people's pets come onto the Zoom meetings and things like that, it just gives me some joy. So I can imagine taking your dog for a walk, how much joy that would give you.
Yeah, I like to take my dog for a walk, but in the wintertime, it can really like the snow on the ground. I think it's also, it doesn't help that my dog does not like the snow. So even if it's cold outside, she'll turn around and be like, I don't think I want to go outside right now. Like, we're not going out there. So
Yeah.
that it works better in the summer, but
Yeah. 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 Some dogs are just not into it, but I guess, right? They all have their own little personalities. Okay, so we have Varahi. I don't know if Varahi's still here, but thank you so much, Varahi, for joining us. And Smith Vanessa says, so you smoke when you walk your dog, helps you cope with the stress, but your breathing is hard. So again, using those trying to find those other healthier things that are going to serve you better, like taking the walk and putting those things in place, again, can be really, really helpful. And again, thank you for sharing that. And we have M. Bachner says, love coming on and listening to you guys. It helps me to wind down. Oh, thank you so much. I really,
that's
really
really nice.
appreciate that. Yeah, because sometimes we come on this live and we're always so excited to come on here and share with you. And sometimes, we have not so many people in the audience, and that's okay, but we always still love doing it. So it's good to know that it's always good to get the feedback, to hear that it's actually helping someone. So we love to hear stuff like that. Thank you so much, M. Bachner.
Even before this is the first live I've done with YouthSpeak. I've watched the lives, and I like just hearing people's stories and hearing like just like it helps. Like you're not alone. Like even if it's not something you can resonate with, it's like it's kind of like you're on FaceTime with your friends. Like you're just watching people have a conversation.
Yeah, yeah, honestly. And that's why I love doing them. Yeah. So that's great. So I want to actually throw it out to the audience. We talked about a lot about some of the things that we're doing. So what are some of the things that you would suggest to a friend? You know, if you've seen, I'm going to ask you as well, Taylor, what are some things that you would suggest to your friend if you notice that they're in a low mood, especially right now? We can't, just go out and give them a hug if we feel like it. What are some things that we can do in this time if we notice a friend who's having a low mood? How can we help them?
You can set up a time to be like, hey, can I call you right now? Or hey, do you want to talk on the phone? Just like a quick phone call or a FaceTime call with them is really, really nice. Or even some people may laugh at this, but send them memes, send them funny TikToks, send them something funny that may remind you of that person and be like, hey, this reminded me of you. And just getting that little message like that reminded you of me, like that can make someone's day. Like my favorite thing to do is send my friends memes and TikToks, and they love it because it's like you thought of me when you saw that, and they're funny, so you can have a little moment laughing.
No, I really love that. That's such a great idea, because one of my New Year's resolutions was to like connect more with my friends and family and things like that, especially now because everything is the way it is. That's a bit harder, but I think that's a great way just to keep that combination, that connection, and have them smiling. Makes you feel good to make someone else feel good. So I think that's such a great point for sure. So Una says that Emma will be on an upcoming live. So great. Oh my gosh. That'd be awesome. Would love to have you, Emma. Can't wait to, I don't know if I'll be doing the live, but I can't wait to watch or to have a little chat with you. That would be awesome. And Dana Foos, and please forgive me if I'm saying your names wrong. Please forgive me. I'll just put that out there right now. But Dana Foos, it helps motivate you for sure. Sometimes you feel like you just need some company, especially in this pandemic. Exactly.
Yes. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Like Zoom calls, like my family has always been a close-knit family. We've done Zoom calls. And they've like, it just feels like you're at like those family parties again. Like even though you're by yourself, like some of my family lives out of the country and we just hop on a Zoom call. And it feels really nice to be with your family. Like even if you can't physically be with them, you're with them.
Yeah.
In a way. And you can do fun games. Dana, I know you have those Kahoots because she is a friend of mine and she makes these Kahoots. I did one just for the fun of it, and I was just like, okay, I feel like I'm smart because you're like doing a little quiz.
Yeah, I've been hearing a bit about this game Kahoot. So wait, tell us a bit more. It's a game you could play on Zoom, right? That's what I understand.
So how it works is it's like a website, and then it's called Kahoot.com. I think that's what the actual website is. And then you can create your own little quiz for people to take. Like, for example, it's someone's birthday, and then you want to make a bunch of questions about that person and quiz your friends. You can do that, and then you just send them the link, and then they put in the pin, create a username, and then you can all participate in that quiz. Or they have set up ones already about like movies, superheroes, and you can just do that. You can video share, and you can all participate, and you can see who's winning, and
Yeah.
it's pretty fun.
No, that's cool. I think that is I guess that's one of the number one things we can do right now, playing those little fun games with our family and friends through online games. Any apps, especially we're learning about we're talking about Clubhouse. That's also another way to connect with other people. There's so many different apps I feel like right now even popping up. There's something called Stereo as well. I don't know if you've ever heard of that
I
app.
haven't heard of Stereo.
Yeah, so it's very, very new. I'm like always getting ads popping up on my YouTube for it. I guess because I downloaded it, but yeah, so it's similar concept to Clubhouse. You can kind of pop in and just listen to someone's conversation, and you can join the conversation as well if they allow you to. So it's really, really cool. They have conversations about all kinds of different things. So whatever piques your interest, it's another way to connect with other people. So, which is important in these times for sure. And Diana says, I usually check in with them via text, set up weekly check-in times. That's another thing too. I think there's nothing wrong with scheduling. I started doing that now because again, I want to really start reconnecting with my family and keeping that connection strong and going. So nothing wrong with scheduling weekly calls with family members. So that's, I think, another good time.
Even a quick text too, like it's just a quick exchange where you pop up on someone else's phone and they think, oh, that person thought of me to text me, and that it can make you feel good. It makes them feel good. Just the little things.
Yeah, it's the little things for sure. Yeah. And thanks everyone for joining us. This has been a great conversation so far. We love always the comments coming through, the questions coming through. If you have any questions for us, go ahead, feel free to pop them into the chat box. But I'm gonna ask again, I guess now that have you been getting into any winter activities?
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go skating, but because the Canadian Tires closed, like I would always go and get my skates sharpened there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if you could do that. I didn't inquire, but I should have.
Yeah.
I think I still can, but I don't know. There's something about, I'm still a little nervous going outside right now, but I really wanted to go skating. How about you? Did you try any winter activities?
The only thing is, one thing I love is sledding. So when I was with my family the other day, my nephew, there's a little hill right by my house, like in the backyard of my house. So we just took him on that little tiny hill just for some fun for like an hour, and that was my winter activity. So
that sounds so fun.
Yeah. So again, just finding those little things that we can do, and again, we have to be super creative, right? And again, that's something that always boosts my mood. Seeing my nephew smile, even sometimes I'll just look at pictures of me and him, just because he's just so adorable, and that just uplifts my mood. So yeah.
I feel the same way. Like I'm such a family person that I'll like just miss my cousins, and I'm just like, I even have like little cousins that I love so much, and I'll like look back at my camera roll, and I'm like, I miss them. And then like my cousin will post like little snippets of them, and I'm like,
yeah,
my heart,
right, just melts you inside. Honestly, makes you feel good. So yeah, for sure. And tobogganing, yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one thing I really that was one thing that I loved doing when I was a kid, tobogganing. So I'm pretty sad that I can't do it the way I would like to. But again, I found that little tiny hill in the back end. It was still fun, right? It was still fun. So yeah.
I definitely should go tobogganing. I have a hill by my house, and I'm like, maybe I should. Now that you mention it, I'm like, I think I should go tobogganing because I loved it when I was
Yeah.
little.
Yeah, and of course being safe, right? You know, I might find it like now, especially because not a lot of people will be out, you know, of course wearing your mask, keeping safe, all those things. But I find, yeah, even just taking a walk by yourself, getting some of the fresh air, even just kicking up some snow, something like that. It's, again, it's all in the little things. And I think that's one of the things that I'm really that I've really learned throughout this whole pandemic. It's all in the little tiny things, right? The little things that make you feel good, that you sort of never thought about before, or sort of kind of took for granted before. Yeah.
Still can't see the comments. So.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I know, and it's so sad. It's so sad. But yeah, we're just getting some people saying like, yes, you should go. Definitely, they're recommending that you should go tobogganing. Yeah, and some people said they're gonna go check it. They're gonna go too. So maybe you might see them on the hill. Who knows? But yeah, that's amazing. I think that's a great way to sort of get some of that anxiety out, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, it's been a great conversation so far. Taylor, I think we'll just about wrap it up very shortly. But before we go, I guess we can share some. We'll talk about some of the resources that we did share, and if there's any last questions, comments that we can cover, feel free to go ahead and pop them into the question box now, or the comment box. Una says, that's a good life lesson always. Yes, for sure. Thanks, Una. I guess that's something that I'm just coming to learn. And yeah, so I'm happy to share that with everyone. And yeah.
Definitely appreciate the little things.
For sure. And then then Leo Maria Alfaro says we should go to tobogganing on Saturday.
Oh, that's my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aw.
Okay. We'll see.
Nice. So it's a day. That's a date. That's so adorable. She's like, yes, that's great. And we should go on Saturday. So now you have a date for Saturday. Awesome. That's great. Okay, so that's great. It's been a good conversation so far, Taylor. I guess we'll share some of the resources that we talked about. I actually wanted to bring up one thing you talked about with your story is reaching out to your school therapist. And I wanted to touch on that because I remember when I was in college, I was having a really, really rough time at one point. I was struggling a lot, and I had no idea that they had those kind of resources within the school. So that's such a really important thing to remember, that even if you are in school, wherever you are, there are resources to help you. You just have to seek those things out. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yes. Even like there's, I think, a place called YouthLink. Before the pandemic, you could just walk in and go and talk to a therapist for an hour, and it's not always the same person. So it's just like you'd have just a conversation with any therapist. They don't know you, you don't know them, and it's like a fresh one session thing. Those also really, really helped as well. I've tried that one.
Yeah, so YouthLink, that's a really great one, as well as Kids Help Phone. I know that's something that I personally used when I was having some really tough times, again, because I didn't feel like I could reach out to anyone else. And like you said, it was really great because it was completely anonymous, and the person wasn't going to go out and judge me or say anything. They were just there to listen. So I think that Kids Help Phone is another great resource that, again, I feel like sometimes when we're in moments of distress and we're feeling upset, we forget that there's these amazing resources. But that's why it's good to sort of have them written down somewhere, so that you can always draw on them whenever need be. Yeah. So I guess that's it. We talked about Kahoot. I think we talked about Kahoot, hooking up with friends through digital means, however that is, reconnecting with friends, and really whatever, checking in with yourself. And whenever you feel like you're having that low mood, finding those things that are going to make you feel good, and finding those healthy things that are going to serve you and help you in the long run. So
like, do you want to recap what some self-care can look like?
Yeah.
As well as a quick little some quick little tips that people can use during this time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first? I can go. It's up to you.
No, yeah, you go ahead.
We did touch on journaling as well and the positive affirmations. That could be writing them down or just looking at yourself in the mirror and really just saying them to yourself. You can take a bath. You can put a face mask on, working out, meditating, yoga. I feel like there's more.
Yeah, there's so many. For me, something that I've taken up is painting.
Yes.
And again, that's the thing. It's fine. It's all about finding that thing that works for you, right? Because it could even be something as simple as coloring. You talked about journaling. Hey, cooking, that can be also another form of self-care. So again, finding those little things that are going to make you feel good. And also thinking back, this is something I like to say too, thinking back to when you were a little kid. What are those things that made you feel good to do? Like, think about those things and try them. Dancing, exactly.
Dancing is a big one. Like dancing, coloring. When you mentioned coloring, I got so excited because I like to color.
Yeah, so and that's even like a whole stress relieving thing. We found out that can be a whole stress relieving thing, right? So again, finding all those little things, thinking back to your childhood, thinking back to the times when you had rough times, what got you through those rough times, going back to that. And I always tell my son, we have Sunshine Pluto says, I always tell my son the importance of connecting with someone when he feels defeated. I like that. And I like what you said, when you feel defeated. Talk to me, a teacher, a relative, just remember he's not alone. And I think that's a really important message, to let that be known. It's really important to let your family, your friends, your loved ones know that you're there for them, pulling them aside and letting them know that you're that safe place. It goes, it works wonders, and it goes so long.
Knowing someone's there for you definitely is such a big thing. Like having that support, it's great. And knowing that you're not alone is so helpful when it comes to low moods and mental health.
For sure.
Just always remind people that they're not alone if you think they're feeling a little low.
Exactly. I think that's the main message, right? You're never alone. Yeah, because even look, Diana's talking about listening to music. And I think that's another thing. We all love music, and it's a great, amazing coping tool. But specifically, she loves 80s music, okay? Which, hey, there's some hits in the 80s. So for sure, Diana, I'm right there with you. So that's great. Thank you everyone for joining us on this IG Live. It's always a great fun time to just have chats with you, have this open conversation, get to know Taylor a bit more. That's always really cool. So just want to read these last few comments. Joining or volunteering at the organization is a great to make. Definitely. Absolutely. Especially right now. So there's so many organizations out there that need the help. So donate, whether that's your time, whether that's through financial means, whether that's just through support, through jumping on and supporting their live, things like this. It all works, right? It all helps. So again, thank you for sharing that again, Diana. But okay, I think we'll wrap up here. Again, it's been a great conversation. Honestly, really great to get to know you a bit more.
Thank you. Great to get to know you too.
Yeah, it's been good and good. You shared some really great tips. I hope everyone out there was able to take some tips, think of some things that maybe they didn't think of before. And yeah, and if you enjoyed this live, definitely come back and join us next Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Where we share, we talk about all kinds of different topics, and as well as we have our anti-racism presentations, we have our self-care presentations or self-care workshops that you can book for your school. So that's also a great thing. And we have so many different workshops. So definitely, if you want to check those out, head over to our website, which is www.youthspeak.ca, and you can see our different programs that we offer that can help your schools and help the youth get through some of these difficult times that we're sort of facing right now. Okay, so with that being said, we'll wrap it up and say good night, and have a great one. Enjoy the rest of your night, Taylor, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Good night.
Take care, everyone.